Hi, I'm Noel Koenig, and I decided to do my book talk on Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. So first, here's a little bit about the book. The title is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. The author is Lewis Carroll. The illustrator is Sir John Tenniel, and the genre is fantasy fiction. The author, Lewis Carroll, was a very interesting man. On the slide, you can read some facts about him. People have come up with two theories about Lewis Carroll that neither have been proven to be true. For one thing, it is very obvious that this book comes from a very creative mind. Almost too creative, some people might say. The use of psychedelic drugs was very popular during the time he wrote this book. Many people suspect that Carroll was on drugs while he wrote the book. Another theory many people have about Carroll is that he was a pedophile. It is known that Carroll took a liking to younger girls. The book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland was actually based on a young girl named Alice that Lewis Carroll knew. Neither of these stories have been proven to be true, but I still think they are very interesting and worth hearing about. Setting: Alice's Adventures in Wonderland begins in England, but not long after the book begins, Alice falls down a rabbit hole leading her to Wonderland, which is a fantasy world. This book takes place in 1865 during the Victorian era. On this slide, you can also see some quotes I think tell a lot about the book. If you haven't figured it out yet, the main character in this book is Alice. Alice is a 7-year-old girl with an extremely vivid imagination. Alice is a very polite girl who tries to be respectful to different creatures she encounters on her journey. Throughout the book, Alice must use her sense of judgment to make decisions about what to do in certain situations. Based on the decisions Alice makes throughout the book, she proves to us that she has good judgment at such a young age. Just like almost any other book, this book has its own conflicts. As she is only a 7-year-old girl, Alice has a difficult time getting through some of these conflicts. There are many characters and difficult circumstances in the book Alice encounters who make her journey much harder. From my point of view, there are two main conflicts in this book. For one, the further Alice wanders through Wonderland, the more unsure about her own identity she becomes. The second main conflict is when Alice gets sent to a trial by the Queen of Hearts, where she is unsure if she will make it through without being decapitated. Plot: At the beginning of the book, Alice is relaxing and sees a white rabbit and decides to follow it. Alice ends up falling down a rabbit hole into Wonderland. Her main goal at the beginning of her journey is to find out where the white rabbit is going. Throughout this journey, Alice encounters many different creatures that make her journey more complicated and difficult. Once Alice is fed up with looking for the white rabbit, her main goal is to just go home. However, she has a difficult time finding her way. During Alice's journey, she shows three main emotions. Alice shows a lot of sadness during the book. She becomes very hopeless at times of finding her way. Another emotion Alice shows during the book is happiness. Even though most of the creatures Alice meets in the book end up making her journey more difficult, before she offends them, they are kind to her, making her happy. The third main emotion Alice shows during the book is frustration. Many of the creatures Alice encounters frustrate her and make her angry because they never seem to make any sense to her. Theme: The theme in this book is a child's constant struggle to try and survive in the confusing world of adults. Children are much more open-minded than adults, which causes them trouble in many situations. Alice must constantly overcome difficult situations in the book that would normally not be hard for an adult to deal with. I like this book because of how unique it was compared to any other book I have read. There's no doubt this book is strange as well as the man who wrote it, which makes it more exciting to read. The most memorable part of the book to me was how vivid and strange Alice's imagination is. Her entire journey through Wonderland was a dream her own mind conjured up, which is kind of crazy to think about. Pictured on this slide are two quotes I think really show what the story is about. The quote on the left shows how strange the book is. The quote on the right shows how the book really makes you think. Like the quote on the right, there are other philosophical questions in the book that are similar to the questions and thoughts that may go through teenagers' heads. Many of these questions can't be answered, but it's a high possibility you question them yourself. I would recommend this book to anybody who enjoys reading books in the fantasy genre. This book is so strange and includes many things a normal person could never think of. I think this book could be a good read for anybody because it introduces you to a whole new world and gets your mind thinking and allows you to be more creative. Chances are you saw the movie Alice in Wonderland when you were younger. By reading this book, now that I'm older, it really opened my eyes to themes I would have missed when I was younger. Overall, I would really recommend reading this book. So that was my presentation. Thanks for listening. But here's a clip from one of the songs from the movie Alice in Wonderland to fill up my remaining 20 seconds.